The air on planet Zaylor was always thick with fog. The sky was never blue, only green and gray. And the city of Krontal stood like a fortress of stone and steel, in the heart of this alien world. Fear had a new name, but nobody knew it yet. Not until the human came. They called him the Silent One. No one knew his real name. No one saw him speak. No one saw him eat or sleep. He wore long black robes and carried a strange book. He walked slowly, like a ghost. And wherever he walked, people whispered and stared. At first, the aliens laughed at him. He was small compared to them, thin, weak-looking, soft-skinned, a human priest. Alone in a warrior planet, what could he possibly do? But then the disappearances started. A gang of Virax, tall, four-armed aliens known for violence, vanished after cornering the human in alley. No blood, no fight, just silence, gone. No bodies found, no witnesses. Only a strange mark burned into the wall. A circle with a line through it. The city guards were called. They followed the Silent One. They tried to arrest him. They didn't come back by the end of the week. The Alien Council had declared him a threat, but it was already too late. The fear had begun. In a hidden room deep in the Krontal capital, the alien leaders gathered. There were 8 of them, lords of different races. They had ruled for decades. But now, for the first time, they were afraid. "He is not a soldier," growled Lord Vector, slamming his fist. "He's a priest. A weak human priest. But he uses something we don't understand," hissed Lady Zeril. Her green eyes narrow. "He's not using weapons. Then what is he using?" asked another. "Magic? Mind tricks?" "No," came a soft voice. It was Kari, the youngest member of the council. She was half human, half Zalari, a rare mix. Her mother was a human scientist, her father a high-ranking alien general. She had studied Earth religions. She had read about priests, monks, warriors of faith. She knew the stories, but she never believed them until now. "He's using belief," she said, "and something else. Something old." They all turned to her, surprised. "Belief?" One mocked. "You mean faith?" "Yes," Kari said quietly. "He believes in something stronger than weapons. And it's working." The room went silent. Outside, thunder cracked through the green clouds. Something unnatural was coming. Meanwhile, far away in the lower districts, the Silent One walked through the slums. Children peeked out from broken windows. Some followed him at a distance. He never looked back. He touched walls, whispered to himself, drew strange symbols in the air. Every step he took, fear followed. But so did curiosity, even hope. Kari, dressed in a black cloak, followed him secretly. She needed to see for herself. She needed to understand what he was and why he was here. She watched as he stopped in front of a broken statue of an old alien god. He stared at it, then raised his hand. He began to speak, but no sound came out. Only silence, and yet, the statue cracked. A loud echo rang through the street. Kari covered her ears. The children ran. The statue exploded into dust. Kari's eyes widened. It wasn't magic, it wasn't tech, it was something deeper. The Silent One turned slowly. He looked straight at her. His eyes were calm, cold, and ancient. "You shouldn't be here," he said. His voice quiet but clear. Kari froze. She hadn't expected him to talk. She hadn't expected him to look so human, and yet something inside her shook. This was not a man. This was something else wearing human skin. "What are you?" she whispered. He took one step forward, then another. "I am the answer to your sins," he said. "And I am not alone." Behind him the shadows moved. Figures appeared, more robed humans, or were they even human? No one could tell. Kari stepped back, breath heavy. She had to warn the council, but deep down, she already knew. It was too late. He had come, and nothing would ever be the same again. 2 days had passed since the statue exploded. The story had spread like wildfire. Aliens from every corner of Krontal spoke of the human priest. Some called him a god, others called him a curse. The council sent spies, warriors, even assassins. None returned, and then the whispers began, late at night. In the deepest parts of the city, near the dead zone, people started hearing voices, low, strange voices like broken echoes. They came from the air, the walls, even from inside their heads. The dead zone was a place no one entered, a place where old machines slept and the land was sick. But now someone had gone in, and the zone had started waking up. Kari stood on the edge of the dead zone, her boots crunching against the dry ash. Her breath came out in white fog, even though the air was not cold. She wore a rebreather mask, a black coat, and carried a small plasma blade. But none of that made her feel safe. She could feel the pressure in her head, like a weight behind her eyes. It had started when she got closer, like something was watching. She activated her scanner, no life forms detected. But the scanner flickered. Static covered the screen. Something was jamming it. She took one more step into the zone, and the world changed. The sky above her turned darker. The air became thick, heavy. She could hear the voices now, not loud, not clear, but deep and endless. They didn't speak in words. They spoke in meaning. You are not ready. Turn back, broken blood. Kari gritted her teeth. She pushed forward. In the middle of the zone stood a broken temple, ancient. Half buried, she entered it slowly, her blade ready. Inside were strange carvings, not alien, not human, something older. She saw a symbol drawn in red dust on the wall. A circle with a line through it, the same mark the priest left before. Suddenly, her rebreather shut down. She pulled it off and gasped, but the air was clean, too clean. She could breathe. Then she saw him. The Silent One stood at the altar, hands open, book floating in front of him. His eyes were closed, but the book turned pages by itself. And behind him, hundreds of shadows lined the walls. Still, silent, hooded figures. Kari stepped back. But the door behind her vanished. Gone, only darkness. You came anyway, the priest said, without turning. His voice echoed. Even though he spoke quietly, Kari gripped her blade. What are you doing here? She demanded. This place is dead. Not dead, he said. Sleeping. I'm waking it up. For what? She asked, her voice sharp. To destroy us? No, he said. To prepare you. For what? He finally turned. His face was calm, but his eyes were endless, like they had seen time itself break and restart. For what comes after your gods fail you, he said. The walls began to glow. Symbols moved on their own, shifting, crawling, alive. The hooded figures behind him raised their heads. Their faces were not human, but they weren't alien either. Something in between. Kari's mind screamed. She tried to run, but her body froze. You carry two bloods, he said. You are the first bridge. What bridge? She said through gritted teeth. Between what was, he said, and what must come. Suddenly, Kari was standing outside the dead zone again. Just like that. No temple, no priest. Just ash under her boots. Her scanner beeped, back online. Time showed only 2 minutes had passed, but she remembered every word. Every second, she turned and ran. She had to warn the council. But above her, hidden in the clouds, something vast stirred, something watching, and the Silent One whispered into the wind. The planet Zaylor no longer felt alive. It trembled, slowly, like it was holding its breath. Animals stopped singing. Machines began to fail. The power grids blinked across cities. Even the sky shield glitched. Nothing was broken, and yet everything was falling apart. And still, the Silent One walked. No army, no weapons, no violence, only his presence. And his growing number of followers. They didn't speak, they didn't eat, they just stood near him. Silent, calm, some were alien, some looked like humans. Others were impossible to describe. People called them ghosts, but they weren't dead. Kari sat in her room inside the council tower. She hadn't slept since the dead zone. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the symbols moving. She heard the Silent One's voice, not in her ears, but in her bones. She had told the council everything. They didn't believe her. They said she was hallucinating, dreaming. Only one counselor believed her, Lord Centaur. The oldest of them all, He was blind, but his mind was sharp. He had fought in the first expansion war. He had seen humans before, but he had never feared them until now. You say he turned the ruins into light, Centaur said slowly. Sitting near his fire orb, Kari nodded. I saw it, she whispered. It wasn't tech. It wasn't even energy. It was something older. Centaur leaned back. The ancients wrote about a silence that could bend time, he said. A stillness that wasn't empty, but full. They called it Veritas Nox, the truth of the dark. Kari frowned. I don't understand. No one does. Centaur replied. And that's the danger. Suddenly, a loud boom shook the tower. Lights flickered. Alarms echoed. Kari stood up, heart racing. She ran to the balcony and froze. The skies were burning. Above the city, the clouds had split. Something massive hung above them. Not a ship, not a creature, just a shape, like a giant ring made of shadow and light. And from it, dozens of smaller shapes fell. Not bombs, not ships people, or something that looked like people. They landed on rooftops, in streets, in temples. And everywhere they stood, silence spread. One scream was heard, then none. Kari grabbed her blade and ran. The city was in panic, but there were no explosions. No fighting, only fear. People ran, but no one was chasing them. They fell. Not wounded, but silenced. Kari reached the central plaza and saw him, the silent one, standing on the grand stairs of the city shrine. His hands open, his eyes glowing white. And behind him, a crowd of thousands, all silent, all still. Their shadows didn't match their bodies. Kari stepped forward, blade ready. What are you doing? She shouted, You're killing them. No, the priest said. I am showing them. Showing them what? She screamed. The truth, he answered. That they were never awake. He raised his hand. And for a second, just 1 second, Kari saw it. The city faded. The people vanished. She stood in an empty void, a place outside time. She saw stars being born and dying in the same breath. She saw planets falling into light. Not darkness, she saw humans, not as weak apes, but as giants of thought, old, hidden, patient, like they had been waiting for the rest of the galaxy to catch up. And then she was back on her knees, shaking, breathing hard. You're not just a priest, she said. You're something else. He looked at her with calm sadness. I was a priest, he said. Now I'm a reminder. A reminder of what? He turned away, that you were never in control. Then he walked into the shrine, and the doors closed, just like that, behind her. The council tower burned. Ships fell from the sky without being touched. The laws of physics bent like paper, and the people began to kneel, not because they were forced, but because they finally felt small. Kari stood alone, her blade useless, her mind broken and open and far above. In the dark ring above the clouds, a new eye opened, watching, waiting. Asterisk beneath the great capital of Krontal. Below the layers of steel, stone, and ash, there was a vault no one spoke of. It had no name, no records, only one key. Kari had it, passed down by her human mother. She had never used it, until now. The key was not metal. It was a word, one that burned when spoken. She whispered it. The ground opened. She descended into the black, no lights, only her breath, and the quiet sound of the past waking up. This place was older than the city, older than Zaylor. It was built by hands that no longer existed, and minds that no longer followed logic. Carvings glowed faintly on the walls. Not alien, not human, something in between. She kept walking, then she found it. A room filled with floating crystals, memory stones. Each one held truth. Each one was forbidden. She reached for the largest one. It pulsed as her fingers touched it. And suddenly, she wasn't in the room anymore. She was on Earth, but not the Earth from now, the Earth from 10,000 years ago. It was covered in towers of light, floating cities, artificial moons. The humans were not primitive. They were gods in flesh. Kari saw them walking among stars, speaking in thoughts, changing matter with belief, not magic. Not science, something beyond both. And then she saw the war. Aliens from across the galaxy came together. Not in peace, but in fear. They feared humans. Not because humans attacked first, but because they saw what humans would become. So they united and struck first. The sky burned, Earth fell. Humans disappeared, not dead, just gone. The aliens thought they had won. But it was a lie. Kari gasped as the vision ended. She fell to her knees, sweating, shaking, tears in her eyes. Her people had hidden this. Her father, her teachers, the council, they had all lied. Humans were never weak. They were waiting, and now one had returned, the silent one, not as a soldier, but as a mirror, showing the galaxy what it chose to forget. Suddenly, the walls of the archive cracked. A voice echoed inside, not from a speaker, not from her mind, from the room itself. "You've seen it," the voice said. "Now choose." Kari stood slowly, her eyes no longer unsure. She knew now. She had to choose a side. Above her, the city screamed. But not from pain, from awakening. People were remembering, visions flooding them. The old truth long buried, rising like fire, and in the sky, the dark ring grew brighter. Symbols lit up around it, a countdown, but not to war, to revelation. The Silent One stood on the edge of the upper tower, his book now open, glowing with living light. His followers around him, eyes closed, hands raised. The sound they made was not a chant, not a song. It was the sound of the universe aligning. Kari emerged from the underground vault. Covered in dust, eyes glowing faintly, she looked up at him. And for the first time, she didn't feel fear. She felt recognition. She stepped forward. "I saw it," she said. He nodded. "And now?" he asked. Kari looked back at her people, still confused, still lost, then at the priest, then at the sky. "Now I help you finish it," she said. He smiled, and a ring in the sky pulsed once. Every alien on the planet felt it. In their blood, in their bones. The age of forgetting was over, and the age of remembrance had begun. They called it the Quiet Storm. No explosions, no battleships, no weapons, and yet entire cities fell silent. Communication systems failed, command chains broke. Soldiers dropped their rifles, not because they were attacked, but because something inside them cracked. It started with the children. Young ones across the galaxy began drawing strange symbols. Circles, lines, burning stars. They spoke in languages they never learned. Sang in tones that bent glass. The adults were terrified. Priests and scientists gave no answers. They only stared, confused, afraid, back on Zaylor. Kari stood with the Silent One. She had become his translator, his bridge, not by choice, by change. Her blood had shifted. She no longer felt fully alien. She wasn't fully human either. She was something else now, and she wasn't alone. More hybrids appeared, across colonies. Hidden planets, ancient bloodlines waking up. Some were shunned, some hunted, but others. They started to lead. The galaxy was remembering. And the memory was loud in the council ruins. What was left of the leadership gathered, not to plan a defense, but to beg for understanding. Centaur, blind and calm, stood before a broken star map. "This was never about war," he said. "It was about truth. But it's killing us," one alien cried. "Our cities are collapsing. They were built on a lie," Centaur replied. "Now the foundation is gone. What does the priest want?" Another asked. "Revenge?" Kari entered the chamber. Her eyes glowed like twin suns. Her voice was steady, clear. "He doesn't want revenge," she said. "He wants awakening." "Awakening of what?" Kari looked up. "The human spirit," she said. "You tried to kill it. You failed." The council fell silent. None of them could deny it anymore. The old power was gone. Not taken, dissolved, above them. The dark ring in the sky opened wider. It wasn't a ship. It was a memory engine. And it was broadcasting across the stars on distant planets. Alien civilians dropped to their knees. Their eyes rolled back. Visions poured into their minds, of Earth before it fell, of humans as builders, not destroyers, of a galaxy that once asked for help, and then betrayed the ones who answered. Kari stood beside the priest at the top of the grand tower. She looked at him, quiet, unshaken. He didn't speak much. He didn't need to. What now? She asked. The priest opened his book. Pages turned like wind. Symbols danced in the air. We show them what they are, he said, and what they were meant to become. The sky cracked, but not with lightning, with light. Pure, impossible, ancient. It flooded the planet. Cities melted, not physically, but mentally. Memories reformed. History rearranged itself. Temples turned into libraries. Statues shifted. Monuments now told the truth. Across the stars, alien fleets stopped moving. Pilots wept in their chairs, not from pain, from realization. The war they trained for no longer made sense. Their gods were rewritten, their myths exposed. Back on Zaylor, people walked out of bunkers, looked up, and for the first time saw Earth's symbol in the sky. A broken circle with a line through it. Not a threat, a memory, a reminder. Kari held her hand out. A glowing crystal floated above her palm. It pulsed with life, not data, not code, but thought. Is it done? She asked. The Silent One looked toward the stars. Almost, he said. They've seen it. Now they must choose it. Choose what? To be better, and for the first time since he arrived. He sat down, closed his eyes, and breathed. He had delivered the message. Now it was up to the galaxy to hear it, and decide whether to rise or fall again. Asterisk, the sky no longer looked like a sky. It was a canvas of memories, shifting and flickering. One moment stars. Next moment, faces, wars, maps of galaxies long gone. The memory engine above Zaylor had fully activated. Now every race saw the truth, but not everyone accepted it. In the ruined halls of the former War Academy, a figure walked alone, tall, wrapped in black armor marked with old Earth symbols, eyes like mirrors, breath like steam. His name was Marek. He was human, but not like the Silent One. Marek had never left. He had stayed behind after the fall of Earth. Captured, tortured, changed, he survived the cleansing, and remembered everything. He didn't want peace. He didn't want truth. He wanted payback. Kari stood in a garden that hadn't bloomed in years. Now the trees whispered names from forgotten languages. The soil glowed faintly. Life was returning, but inside her, a new weight had formed. She looked at her hands. Glowing lines ran across her skin. She could hear thoughts that weren't hers, feel emotions from people miles away. Her body was changing, her mind evolving, too fast. She found the Silent One meditating inside a crystal chamber. His robe lay folded beside him. Underneath, only light. His body was fading. You're leaving soon, she said. He nodded. My part is almost over. Then tell me something, she said. Stepping closer. Was this always the plan? He opened one eye. Yes, and me? You were the bridge, he said. You were always meant to be. She looked away. I didn't choose this. No one ever does, he replied. But the galaxy needed you. Before she could speak again, the lights in the chamber dimmed. A presence entered, cold, sharp, ancient. Kari turned and saw him. Marek. She didn't know who he was, but her instincts screamed. Danger, pain, rage. The Silent One opened both eyes now. Marek, he said calmly. You remember me, Marek said, his voice metallic. Good, I thought you were lost. I was, Marek replied. But while you meditated, while you forgave, I endured. Kari stepped between them. Who is he? She asked. The Silent One stood slowly. He was one of us, he said. A warrior during the betrayal, Marek laughed. Don't call it betrayal. Call it what it was, genocide. Kari flinched. The word hit like a blade. You still want revenge, the Silent One said softly. Marek's eyes flared. I want them to feel what we felt. They already are. No, Marek said, stepping forward. This memory project, he spat the word. It's too gentle. They see truth and cry. I want them to see fire. Kari drew her blade. Then you're not here to join, she said. Marek looked at her, not with hate, but pity. "You're not ready to lead," he said. "You're too soft. You think they'll change?" He turned to the silent one. "You've become weak." "No," the priest replied. "I've become free." In a flash, Marek struck, faster than light. His blade cut through the crystal air. But it stopped, mid-swing. Kari had moved not by reflex, by something deeper, instinct born from awakening. She blocked him, her eyes burning white, her skin now fully marked with ancient code. "You want war," she said. "But I've seen where it ends." Marek stepped back, smiled. "You've made your choice," he said. "I'll make mine." Then he vanished into the shadows. The chamber shook. A storm was coming. Kari turned to the silent one. "He's going to destroy everything." "No," the priest said. "He's going to test it. What do we do?" The priest looked at her, his form now almost transparent. "You lead," he said, "and you decide what kind of human you will become." Then he was gone. A spark in the wind, a whisper across galaxies, and Kari stood alone. No longer just a voice, no longer just a hybrid. She was the first of the next, and Marek was coming. The stars had stopped moving. Across the galaxy, ships froze in place. Engines stalled. AI failed. Even time itself seemed to hold its breath. It wasn't a glitch, it was a signal. The final echo from the memory engine pulsed across every system. 3 tones, one after another, low, then high, then nothing. Everyone heard it. No one knew what it meant. Except 2 people. Kari stood at the center of the sky bridge on Zayler. The world beneath her was crumbling. Not in fire, in belief. People no longer knew who they were. And that was the point. She had become something more than hybrid. Her thoughts were faster, her body lighter, but her heart? Still unsure, across the broken horizon, Marek arrived. No ship. He walked through the air as if gravity had given up on stopping him. Black armor humming with old pain. Eyes like broken suns. He said nothing, but she heard him. "This is your last chance." Kari raised her hand. The blade she held was not metal. It was memory hardened into form. "I don't want to fight you," she said. "You don't get to choose anymore," he replied. They clashed, not in the way soldiers do, in the way truths collide. Every swing of their weapons triggered visions, flashes of Earth before its fall, of alien children learning lies, of blood-spilled fear. They were not just fighting each other. They were fighting over what the galaxy would remember. Marek's strikes were brutal, filled with rage, but Kari's movements were not her own. They were echoes of a priest long gone, a rhythm born from belief. Steel met light, memory met revenge. But the longer they fought, the more the galaxy bent around them. Mountains floated, oceans paused, moons cracked and hovered. Then the voice came, not from the sky, from under it. "This was never about you." Both Kari and Marek froze. The voice was too big, too quiet, too real. The stars rearranged into a face not human, not alien, older than both. The first witness, the one who had seen everything and said nothing until now. "You have repeated the same question," the voice said. "Who is right, the one who forgives or the one who punishes?" Marek stepped back. "I watched my people burn," he said. "I watched them beg. They deserve pain." Kari looked up. "I watched them forget," she whispered. "They deserve truth." The stars blinked. The voice returned. "And yet, neither of you asked what they choose." The ground split open, not with fire, with voices. Billions of minds speaking at once, alien, human, hybrid, machine, all deciding. Some chose peace, some chose anger, most chose something in between. The light between Kari and Marek shattered. Their blades broke, not destroyed, released. Their weapons had never been weapons. They were questions, and now they had answers. Kari dropped to one knee, tears in her eyes. She understood. Marek stood still, chest heaving. He didn't want to understand, but he did. The galaxy would not be ruled, not by priests, not by warriors. It would remember and rebuild. Together. Flawed, raw, honest. Kari stood, faced Marek, offered her hand. For a moment, nothing then. He took it. The ring in the sky closed. The memory engine shut down. Its job was done. People awoke across the stars, not enlightened, not broken, just aware. The Silent One's voice returned, only in Kari's mind. Good, it said. Now they begin, and far beyond any map, something opened its eyes, for the first time, in a very, very long time.